Okay, live at 5. Live you are. A little bit late to be putting out a video. Oh, it just did the thing where it jump. Okay, I don't know. So I just feel like I kind of did this video before, but I've seen other videos recently touching on a couple things that maybe I didn't as much, and um, mostly it's always the same, issue: quality versus price range. How much are you willing to spend? How much do you intend to wear it? What do you intend to use it for? That kind of thing. And then, of course, the style and the shape. This being a more of a pinch front style with the crown with that teardrop distinctive look style than a lot of the more standard cattleman kind of crowns that have become more popular. And if you look at, like I mentioned, episode 244, that's a much older style of hat from the late 70s, kind of. It's similar to a pinch front, but instead of coming to a point, it's flat across the front here, and it angles back similar to this toward the rear, but comes to more of a kind of I don't know, like a big block wall more than, but then the newer style is a wider look of this. I don't think that makes my face look as good. So I don't really have any of those newer ones. I only have 3 cattleman crowns. So I'll show those all together a bit more in a minute. Like I said, or 4 actually. And so then the difference between felt and straw. The other video I was watching, one of them was talking about hat etiquette and a little bit care and maintenance. The other one was talking about the process of custom hat purchasing, which that's a whole other animal. That's well out of a beginner's price range, typically, unless you're really going all in. The store that was mentioned in that was offering pre-made in-store hats, basically starting at the $500 range and up. So again, not something you need to invest in, necessarily, if you just want something to wear, casually. The older ones that I have, or the less expensive ones maybe, again, also in the pinch front. I've showed these before. Now this one's a Wrangler, the black. I've had a few of these that are old enough now that they're still made in USA, and most of them are made overseas now. This brand, I don't really have any information in here. This is a Bailey. So is this. And so they have a range. Not all Bailey hats are, the same price. Just like not all the Stetson hats are not all the same price. Stetson has some lower price ones too. I forget if this is made in. It's hard to read with the glare. Yeah, made in USA. So I've had this one for a while. This one was made in USA. I don't know where this one was made. But a lot of these older ones or less expensive ones will have this wire brim kind of function feature where you're supposed to be able to kind of shape it to suit your needs or whatever. But I find that they tend to kind of spring back to the factory default, and it'll pretty much look like this no matter what you do with it. They're supposed to be crushable so you can pack them and all that kind of thing in your luggage as opposed to just wearing it. Typically, if I'm taking something like this along, I'm just wearing it. Depends on where I'm going. This one, again, not going to be a fitted hat. This is going to come in like a large, medium, extra large kind of deal. Whereas this one is fitted. And so I ended up with a tiny bit too small. It would be nice if this was maybe 7 1/8 or 7 1/4. But I remember trying them on and the one being too big and kind of doing that just as much, but without the benefit of staying put most of the time. But when they are tight, it does get kind of annoying. So these will be unlined, and these hats still going around the $80 range ish. I'd say this one you might find something like this for a little less. It's got a little less fancy kind of stuff going on or whatever. Is this again with the pinch front? I don't know. Maybe that's kind of become more of a almost unisex. A lot of girls like to wear the hats now. I don't usually see them wearing as much of the cattleman styles, but it's definitely not a woman's hat. It's just just a slightly different shape. This is the same thing. I've worn this. Fans of the channel will recognize this one. This is a different brand. This is the MHT. Again, not lined. Some of these may not still, all the models may not still be available, but this one's called Diamond, named after the embellishments in the hat band there. Where is this made? Made in USA, so I've had this one for a while too. But this one was on clearance, so obviously not a huge popular model. So I got this one for only $30. It actually fits better than most of my other ones, including this one. So it depends on what I'm wearing. If I'm wearing blue, I typically go more with brown. If I'm wearing something like this, then, a little bit flashier, a little black Bart, the gunslinger, singing cowboy, whatever you want to style it with. I mean, I see a lot of the guys, I'm sorry, they get a little bit blurry here, but should focus better in a minute. I know a lot of the guys who go out to the bars and stuff now, they just wear a baseball cap and a t-shirt. They're not wearing a lot of traditional, more kind of Western wear. I've done whole videos about different shirts. This is a newer one that I just picked up last month or whatever. So again, something like this, I'm going to want to wear with brown. It's got brown in it. So I usually would rather have a brown hat than a black hat. Something like this, I would want to be able to wear in the summer with lighter color stuff, but a felt hat in summer for me is pretty much almost always a no-go, unfortunately, for as many as I have. So it's really spring and fall. And this winter, we're already warming up, and I'm already struggling to wear some of my felt ones without sweating too much. But here's another pinch front. I've shown this one before. This is one of the ones that I wear. But this one has the lining. So that can make it a little bit warmer, and it doesn't have ventilation like I showed in the Akubra videos. One of those got some traction. The other one didn't get very much traction. So you can always watch that. Let's see, episode 222. And then the other one, the Riverina 215, episode 215. And then I talked about safari hats and Aussie hats and safari hats not necessarily being the exact same thing, and cowboy hat. And then, of course, you also have the alternate style of the Aussie hat with the kangaroo leather or cow leather are the two main options. But I don't see a lot of people wearing this style, at line dancing places or that kind of thing. But you do see them, in a lot of other settings. People like to use these for outdoor activities and, hiking and riding and that kind of thing. So, yeah, the two different brims, like I was showing earlier, the other brim having the wire, this being a stiff brim. So you can reshape this with steam, but otherwise this is not flexible or moving in the same way. If it does get munched, it's because it's out of shape and needs to be, reshaped a little bit if possible. I didn't bother with this one because I didn't realize it was warped until much later, but one of these days I'll worry about it. Not too not too concerned. But this one, oh, and also another feature, the ribbon goes in the back, folks. Yeah, and sometimes, like I said, in the Australian one, you have a seam in the back. And not lined much. It's got a little bit of lining here in the front for your sweat band a bit, but and this one did not come with the drawstring. I added that, but then the front, of course, again being a pinch front, and again ventilation, because these leather can get even warmer than the felt a bit, although because it's a pretty thick. But this is a suede, not a full leather. And a kangaroo one even lighter, but as I talked about in the other videos, the kangaroo ones, I find them a bit too light. We'll use them if it's windy at all. But this one, the side got a little bit rumpled from if cat's in a box or something like I did for a while, or if you move and you don't realize that the one hat's too big, then it can do this. I don't think it damages the integrity of it too bad. Like I said, I think they can kind of steam that and adjust it, but this hat's like 15 years old and it's not worn out, obviously, by any stretch of the imagination. The lining, in good shape and everything. You could remove the lining too if you just didn't like it. And it's a slightly different pinch, less aggressive than one like this guy. If I can show it, yeah. So they can do different crown shapes and all that kind of thing. If you really, really, really want to. I'm pretty lazy. Like I said, I usually try it on and see if I like the look of it. And if I like the look of it, then why modify it too much? Like I said, the newer cattleman's ones, I think they're a little bit lower and a little bit wider in the crown. Typically, this was another. I think they discontinued this particular model, but they have another one that's almost the exact same thing, and they've changed the end of the hat band slightly, whereas this is glued down. Now there's like a metal doohickey. I don't know. I saw it on Boot Barn earlier, and I forget if that was the sale price one or if that was, I don't know, it might have been like around $90. There was one that was on sale for $125, marked down about $80. That looked like a really good option. I guess you can get a lot smoother felt sanded with a custom hat. I don't know why that might be a priority, how much smooth you would need or want. But you can see the texture does vary a little bit. I think this one is maybe a tiny bit smoother than that one, but they do pick up a little bit of lint and such. So I think the most frequent care is just with a regular boot brush. If you have a boot brush that isn't covered in, shoe polish or whatever else, just give it a little go. It's a horsehair brush. They cost about $10. You can get them from a boot company or whatever, and that's it. Just brushing. Unless you got significant mud on it or something, I suspect you should let the mud dry. I've never been that splattered with mud, but when they get a little bit dusty like this, I usually keep them in plastic bags. I know it's going to be getting harder to find good plastic bags these days if the grocery store is not carrying them, but I have ones like this, and if you put them in as far as it'll go and then put another one over it from the other side, it usually does pretty well without having to spend a bunch of money. Or of course you can get a hat box if your hat costs enough. But so anyway, so this is kind of, like I said, a typical cattleman crown with an extreme center crease and more than just pinching toward the front, pinch the whole side. So that's a bit more of the modern look than, like I said, some of the more retro styles that I go for. So I ended up with a couple different cattleman crowns. So this one's adjusted in a straw. Looks like almost the exact same hat, a little bit shorter because it's straw. I think they gave me a little bit more in the felt. The fit, pretty close, not bad. This one's technically a size too small, same as that one, but this one fits a little better. So you can see there is a little bit of ventilation. This one they're calling it a 10XXXX, whatever that all means, from one brand to the other. And then this one I've shown before. This one looks really farmy though, because the brim is very unshaped and very flat, as opposed to where this one they've given a little more curvature going up, which although for me is a little less ear protection. So on a warm day, even though this one's also a size too small, this is the a bit more shade, a bit more coverage. Not quite some of the newer sombrero ones that have come out. It's again ventilation, all that kind of thing. Some guys like to wear their hat like down, and I don't know. It's considered kind of dorky to wear it back like this, right? Like Bob Falfa in American Graffiti. I ain't nobody, dork. That whole attitude. But obviously with a cattleman crown, wearing it back doesn't look right. Whereas with a pinch crown, I can get away with it a little bit more if I really want to. But if I pull it down, then then you've got that rugged ombre look or whatever you're going for. So like I said, I've shown this one before too. Another one, I got this one real inexpensive, and it's another one that's technically almost a size small. But this one's in metric, so it's got a 56. I don't know if a 57 would be a little too loose, but this is the same brand as this. And you can see, even though they're both the stiff brim, like this one is just a thicker felt, a heavier hat. There's something else going on in this. But I got them for about the same price. I think I only spent like $40 for this one when I found it, because it was kind of damaged. So that's not the camera looking wrong. That really is all kind of gray and mottled. So maybe I got to find some way to kind of re-dye that, because brushing it doesn't make it less gray. So it's been in contact with some solvent or bleach or something. I don't know. And so I didn't care. I got it so reduced in price that it was fine, And even the size being not quite perfect. The leather band, they don't conform quite as much as you'd like, but with wear, you do kind of get used to it. Like this one's almost perfect, even though it's the wrong size. Whereas that straw one, I really struggled with this one because the crown shape is not perfect for my head. It's a little too round and not quite enough oval. And so you can see where that leather has really kind of rubbed, and sweat has really kind of. And the one guy you knew who was riding the horse one day, oh, you just got to wear it, man. You just got to. And so, yeah, kind of. It depends on how much wrong the size is, whether or not that'll ever be comfortable on you. But again, you really don't want too much of that kind of thing going on. I know my hair looks terrible now because I'm sweating a little bit, but if you have shorter hair too, that will affect it. Because I think when I first bought this one, I had very short hair, and so it probably fit perfectly. Whereas when I bought this Wrangler one, I might have had longer hair and thought it was a good size, and now I'm kind of like, it still comes down farther than I want. And it's got a kind of high crown, so my head kind of sinks into it. But technically it's not the wrong size, it's just kind of luck of the draw. Whereas another one that I bought, a straw one, I sold it already because it was way too tight. And it was one of the Jason Aldean ones. And for some reason, I just could not wear that thing after I took it out of the store. It was like perfect in the store. And then ever since then, I was like, this thing just does not fit at all. And lucky for me, some guy was having like a Yellowstone party or something, and he bought it off me. And so I got most of my money back. But so yeah, this one has a little bit of heft to it, a little bit of a different buckle with the kind of looks like a belt buckle kind of going on. You can swap out the hat bands though if you think they're too silly or like all this chrome kind of thing. And this one again is lined on the inside. And it's kind of hard to talk prices because, like I said, when I bought most of these, I either found them on sale or like this one was $70 at the time, which is probably comparable to what it would be in today's dollars. Like if I found this exact hat again, it'd probably be around 200-ish. And given inflation, so I probably paid about the same then as I would now for this hat, but it was so unique and so well fit. Again, at the time, I thought this one fit perfectly, and it's close, but it's not quite my exact head shape. Again, a little more round than oval. But at the time, it was the one that looked really good and fit pretty good, and so that's how I did it without getting really properly fitted or going custom and all that. Yeah, the product. Again, the one place in that video, they were starting at about $700, and the wait time was not a full year, about 9 months, they said. And I will spend $700 on a pair of boots and wait 7 months-ish, maybe a little bit longer. But I don't know. I know how to kind of judge the value in the boots a little bit better because I know there's a Stetson one called the Boss of the Plains or Boss of the Range or whatever, Boss of the Prairie, something along those lines. And it's like $200 for one, and they pick the brown. You don't even get to pick your own brown, or you can get it in black. And then they have another one called something Cattleman or something like that. And they want $130 more for it, and I couldn't tell you what's the difference between those two hats. They're both rated as a 6X. And then it jumps up from there to $500. So, like I said, that other store carries, I guess, all the Stetsons that start above the amount that I'm typically willing to spend for a high-end hat, which I haven't even spent that much. I don't have a $300 and something hat, but I do have the Akubra, which again, it was about $250, I think. Which for me was a lot of money to spend on a hat when I already have a bunch of hats and haven't worn all of them all that much for whatever reason. I mean, I wear this one probably the most often, even though it's probably my least favorite because I'm just kind of silly like that. Like I said, this one fits a little better and it's a little bit lighter weight. It has the nicer felt stiff brim deal going on. So maybe I'll start wearing that one more often. And this one, like I said, I thought this one was perfect. And then I got it out and I'm like, oh, it's actually a size small. But like I said, I think it still technically fits a little better than this one. But I've worn this one pretty often. I haven't worn this one at all. So maybe this one will go in the rotation now too, before it gets too warm and I have to switch back to the straw one. But then again, like I said, if I'm doing something else, a lot of times I'm wearing just kind of a beat up thing like this one. And some of them, like this one being heavy, I have worn this a couple times out and about. But I do notice the weight of it. So that is one thing that where I can, like this one's a bit, yeah, I think this one's a little bit more lighter weight, but something like this. Yeah, this one weighs almost twice as much as this one, like just feeling it, which it's not that heavy. It's not an army helmet or something, but it's still noticeable, And of course, black, I don't really want to wear out in the sun all that much. So, okay, well, that's 24 minutes of me talking about hats. I don't know if I forgot anything, but at least I can make a shorter video than some of the other ones. So if you have any questions, of course, put them in the comments. What did I forget? I don't know. I don't have any beaver felt ones. And I don't have any like China-made Amazon ones. Most of these are a little bit above that price range, a little bit above that quality. Because like I said, I mean, like I said, my pricing from 10, 12 years ago is not as accurate as now. I'd say a reasonable starting range is between the $80 and $200 mark. Somewhere in there, you might find something that you like that's a sweet spot. And I'd say most guys who are serious about wearing hats, you're going to want more than one. You're probably going to want at least 2 or 3 for different colors, different, again, you know, do you want felt or do you want straw? Do you want black or do you want brown or do you want something totally different? I have other wild ones that I'm not going to go into in this video because I don't want this to be endless. So, okay, well, hopefully some of y'all will catch on and want to watch this and let me know.